Authenticity has a quiet power that often goes unnoticed in a world obsessed with perfection. People are taught to refine themselves, to present only their best angles, to hide flaws and polish their image until it becomes something almost untouchable. Yet perfection creates distance, not connection. It can impress, but it rarely invites someone closer. There is something cold about it, something that feels complete and closed off, leaving no space for another person to enter. Authenticity, on the other hand, carries warmth. It reveals the unfinished, the imperfect, the real. When someone is authentic, they are not performing or calculating every move. They allow parts of themselves to be seen without excessive control. This includes their uncertainties, their contradictions, and even their quiet struggles. Instead of presenting a flawless surface, they reveal a living, breathing human experience. And this is where deeper love begins to take root. Human beings are drawn to what feels true because it resonates with their own inner reality. No one is perfect on the inside, even if they try to appear that way on the outside. So when someone encounters authenticity, it creates a sense of recognition. It feels familiar, safe, and honest. It signals that there is no need to pretend, no need to maintain an exhausting facade. In that presence, people feel allowed to be themselves as well. Perfection may attract attention, but authenticity sustains connection. It builds trust in a way that polished images never can. When a person shows who they truly are, they are taking a risk. They are opening themselves to judgment, to misunderstanding, and even to rejection. But that very risk is what makes the connection meaningful. It shows courage, and it creates a deeper level of emotional intimacy that cannot be manufactured. This is why someone can fall deeply in love with another person, not because they are flawless, but because they are real. The small, unfiltered moments often carry more weight than grand displays. A genuine reaction, an honest confession, a quiet vulnerability, these become the points of connection that leave a lasting impression. They reveal something deeper than surface attraction, something that speaks directly to the human need for truth and connection. People are often conditioned to believe that love begins with what is impressive, what stands out, what captures attention immediately. The ideal image, the perfect appearance, the carefully constructed personality, these things are designed to attract. They create a sense of admiration, sometimes even desire. But admiration is not the same as emotional depth. What looks ideal from a distance can lose its substance up close because it is built to be seen, not necessarily to be felt. What feels real operates on an entirely different level. It is not always striking at first glance, nor does it demand attention in obvious ways. Instead, it reveals itself gradually through consistency, honesty, and small, meaningful interactions. Realness is found in the way someone reacts without calculation, in the way they express themselves without excessive filtering, in the way their actions align with their words. It is not about perfection of form, but integrity of being. When someone encounters what is real, something within them responds almost instinctively. There is a sense of ease, a quiet recognition that does not require explanation. It is not overwhelming or dramatic, but it is steady. Unlike idealized images, which often create pressure to maintain a certain standard, realness removes that pressure. It allows space for imperfection, for growth, for moments that are not polished or rehearsed. This is why people fall in love with what feels real, rather than what looks ideal. The ideal can be admired from a distance, but it often lacks emotional accessibility. It may create a sense of awe, but not necessarily a sense of belonging. Realness, however, invites closeness. It creates an environment where emotions can exist without being judged or reshaped to fit expectations. There is also a kind of trust that emerges when something feels real. It does not rely on appearances or temporary impressions. It is built through repeated experiences that confirm authenticity. Over time, this trust deepens into attachment because it provides a sense of stability that idealized images cannot sustain. The person who feels real becomes someone others can rely on emotionally, not just admire visually or superficially. In this way, love forms not through what dazzles the eye, but through what resonates with the inner experience. The connection grows stronger, not because everything is perfect, but because everything is honest, consistent, and deeply human. To be truly seen is a rare psychological experience, one that carries a depth far beyond ordinary interaction. Most human relationships operate on a surface level, where individuals present selective aspects of themselves while concealing others. This selective presentation is not always intentional. It is often shaped by fear, conditioning, and the desire to be accepted. As a result, Much of what a person truly is remains hidden beneath layers of adaptation and defense. When someone sees you beyond these layers, something significant occurs. They begin to perceive not just your words or actions, but the underlying patterns that shape them. They notice your hesitations, your subtle expressions, your contradictions. They recognize the emotions you do not fully articulate and the intentions behind your behavior. This kind of perception creates a sense of being understood without the need for constant explanation. Such understanding forms the foundation of powerful emotional bonds. It bypasses the need for performance and enters a space where authenticity becomes natural rather than forced. When a person feels seen in this way, they often experience both comfort and vulnerability at the same time. Comfort because they no longer feel the need to hide or justify themselves. Vulnerability because their inner world is no longer entirely protected. This dual experience deepens connection in a way that superficial attraction cannot replicate. Attraction may arise quickly, based on visible traits or immediate impressions, but it does not necessarily sustain itself. Being truly seen, however, creates continuity. It builds a connection that evolves over time because it is rooted in something that does not easily change, the essence of who a person is. There is also a profound sense of validation that comes with being seen. It affirms that one's inner experiences are real and worthy of recognition. This validation is not dependent on agreement or approval. It comes from acknowledgement. Someone can see you fully and still hold a separate perspective. Yet the act of seeing itself creates a bond that feels deeply personal. As this process continues, emotional closeness intensifies. The relationship begins to operate on a level where silence can communicate as much as words, and where small gestures carry significant meaning. The bond becomes less about what is shown externally and more about what is understood internally, forming a connection that feels both intimate and enduring. Subtle love does not announce itself in obvious ways, nor does it demand immediate recognition. It exists in the background of experience, woven into ordinary moments that might appear insignificant at first glance. Because it lacks dramatic intensity, it is often overshadowed by louder, more visible forms of attention. People tend to associate love with grand gestures, emotional highs, and unmistakable signals, and in doing so, they become less sensitive to the quieter expressions that carry equal, if not greater depth. This kind of love reveals itself through consistency rather than spectacle. It can be seen in someone who remains present without needing acknowledgement, who listens without interrupting, who remembers small details that others would overlook. These actions do not seek validation. They arise naturally from genuine care. Their subtlety makes them easy to dismiss, especially in a culture that prioritizes what is immediate and emotionally intense. The human mind is often drawn to what stimulates it most strongly. Excitement, novelty, and unpredictability can create the illusion of importance, even when they lack stability. In contrast, subtle love does not create urgency. It unfolds gradually, building a sense of familiarity and trust over time. Because it does not provoke strong initial reactions, it may be mistaken for something ordinary or unremarkable. Yet it is precisely this quiet nature that makes it meaningful. Subtle love is not dependent on changing moods or external circumstances. It does not fluctuate dramatically or disappear when conditions shift. Instead, it maintains a steady presence, offering a form of emotional reliability that is often underestimated. It creates a foundation upon which deeper connection can develop, even if that process is not immediately visible. The risk lies in failing to recognize its value. When attention is focused primarily on what is obvious, the understated can be overlooked entirely. A person may pursue experiences that feel more intense, believing them to be more significant, while ignoring the quieter connection that has the potential to endure. This misjudgment does not occur because subtle love is insufficient, but because it requires a different kind of awareness, one that is attentive, patient, and capable of perceiving meaning beyond surface-level expression. Over time, what is overlooked does not lose its significance. It simply remains unacknowledged. The subtle signs continue to exist, but without recognition, they do not evolve into something more conscious or mutual, leaving behind a connection that was present but never fully realized. There is a distinction between being appreciated for what is visible and being valued for what is essential. Surface traits, appearance, charm, social presence are easily recognized and quickly responded to. They create immediate impressions and often determine initial attraction. Yet these qualities exist on a level that is subject to change, influenced by time, circumstance, and perception. What lies beneath them, however, operates on a deeper and more enduring plane. Recognition of the soul is not concerned with outward perfection. It is concerned with essence, the underlying patterns of thought, feeling, and being that define a person beyond their external presentation. This recognition does not occur instantly. It develops through observation, through shared moments, and through an intuitive awareness that goes beyond logic. It is less about what can be seen and more about what can be felt and understood. When someone recognizes the soul of another, they are responding to something that cannot be easily articulated. It is the coherence between who a person appears to be and who they truly are. It is found in the alignment between words and actions, in the consistency of character, and in the presence of an inner life that is both complex and sincere. This kind of recognition creates a sense of depth that surface traits alone cannot provide. Surface attraction may initiate connection, but it does not sustain it. Without deeper recognition, relationships often remain limited to external dynamics, where value is assigned based on shifting qualities. In contrast, when the soul is recognized, the connection becomes less dependent on changeable factors. It is anchored in something more stable, something that persists even as circumstances evolve. There is also a profound sense of meaning attached to this kind of recognition. To be seen at the level of the soul is to be acknowledged in one's entirety, not just in selected aspects. It affirms the existence of an inner world that is often hidden or misunderstood. This acknowledgement does not require perfection or agreement. It requires presence and awareness. As this recognition deepens, it transforms the nature of connection. The focus shifts away from superficial evaluation and toward mutual understanding. The relationship begins to operate on a level where significance is derived not from what is displayed, but from what is shared internally, creating a bond that feels both intimate and expansive. There are moments in life when something meaningful presents itself without force or urgency. These moments do not demand attention, they simply exist, waiting to be noticed. Yet the human tendency is to overlook what does not assert itself strongly. Attention is often drawn toward what is immediate, intense, or visibly significant, leaving quieter signals unnoticed. In this way, something valuable can be present without ever becoming fully recognized. Missing quiet signs is rarely a result of absence. It is a result of misalignment in perception. When expectations are shaped by dramatic experiences or idealized images, anything that does not match those expectations can seem unimportant. A steady presence may be mistaken for a lack of depth. Consistent care may be interpreted as ordinary. Understanding may go unacknowledged because it does not create conflict or excitement. Over time, these missed recognitions accumulate. They do not disappear. Instead, they settle into memory as vague impressions, moments that felt significant but were never explored. As distance grows, clarity often follows. What was once overlooked begins to reveal its importance, not through new experience, but through reflection. The mind revisits past interactions, reconstructing them with a deeper awareness that was not present at the time. This delayed understanding can lead to a particular kind of regret, not a dramatic or immediate regret, but a quiet, persistent awareness that something meaningful was allowed to pass unnoticed. It is not always tied to a single moment, but to a pattern of inattention, a repeated failure to recognize what was already there. The realization does not come from loss alone, but from the recognition of missed depth. Regret of this nature carries a different weight because it cannot be easily resolved. It is not based on a wrong action that can be corrected, but on an absence of awareness that cannot be reversed. The opportunity was not rejected consciously, it was simply not seen clearly enough at the time. This creates a sense of incompleteness, a lingering question of what might have developed if recognition had occurred earlier. Such experiences highlight the importance of perception in shaping human connection. What is noticed becomes meaningful, and what is ignored remains undeveloped. The quiet signs do not demand recognition, but their significance does not diminish in their silence, remaining present until either acknowledged or left behind as an unfulfilled possibility.